Thought last week we had a ton of improvement and controlled that game for 54 minutes out of it. So that's what gives me motivation and hope that we'll continue to get better, which will lead to the result we're all after.
Hope in Corvallis continuing to flicker through the darkness as Oregon State football looks to avoid its worst start since the early 90s. Can the Beavers find a way to climb out of the dark while on the road? Find out right now.
Now, this is college football game night.
Welcome back for another weekend packed full of college football in the College Game Night Show. I'm Brett Taylor. To my left, Olivia Cleary. You just heard the tease in the show, Liv. The situation in Corvallis, dire heading into this weekend for the Beavers.
Oh, yeah, for sure, Brett. I mean, this Beaver team has been struggling to put it together, and I mean, we'll find out if they did or not today.
All season, it's been an issue for this team. Of course, the Beavers on the road in North Carolina taking on App State, looking to avoid an 0-6 start to the season for the first time since 1991. I wasn't even born yet, by the way, if you knew that. That's how long it's been. First quarter, different week. Same problems for the Beavs. J.J. Cole on the QB keeper, straight up the gut. Perhaps one of the easiest touchdowns you'll see this season. Mountaineers take an early 10-0 lead, and we're still in the first quarter, and the struggles keep on continuing for Oregon State. Cole, easy little handoff off to Rashad. Dubin-Ion, to the right he goes, and the walk-in touchdown. Beavers all of a sudden find themselves down 17-0, looking like they're about to be blown out, but here comes the light at the end of the tunnel. David Wells Jr. on the end around. Now you see me, now you don't. 30-yard strike. Oregon State finally finds some of that light they'd been searching for. Sometimes a little spark can make all the difference. Next drive, Malik Murphy, fake handoff, quick drop back, finds who else? David Wells Jr. for the second time in the end zone. The Beavers carry the momentum that they needed heading into halftime to trail by just 3 points after 2 quarters.
Yeah, it definitely looked rough, Brett, in the first quarter, but give OSU credit to bounce back the way they did, especially in the run game. That's been the Beavers' bread and butter for years. 7.2 yards per carry is a recipe for success.
Also makes a pretty good pie if you're wondering about that. The only downside, though, Liv, Oregon State has trailed at that in 5 out of the 6 games they played this season. Kind of hard to win games when you're trailing every time at the half. So, can the Beavers find a way this time to pull out a win? Well, not if they play like this. Opening drive out of the half for App State. Cole connects with Davion Dozier, 28 yards through the middle of the defense on the one-on-one coverage. App State pulls back up by 2 scores, but here come the Beavers answering right back. Murphy finds Cornell Hatcher Jr., the RB on the check down, and Hatcher does the rest. 7 plays, 75 yards. Later, the Beavs are back within striking distance, but in the fourth quarter, disaster strikes OSU again. 4th and goal. Poor play calling cost the Beavers a chance to put 7 on the board. Not sure what was going on this play call, and yet somehow this team still not out of the woods. All thanks to an out-of-the-blue safety in the end zone on the ensuing Mountaineers drive. So the Beavers going to get the ball right back. One last crack to try and right the wrongs of the last 5 weeks. 2nd and a mile. Murphy needs it. Looking for his man, Trent Walker. He's got it. And then he doesn't. A hard hit pops the ball loose. And App State picks it off. And in a heartbreaking and almost fitting fashion for the season, the Beavers lose again, Olivia.
Yeah, it's almost gut-wrenching to watch this happen again, Brett. Look, the Beavers weren't perfect, neither was App State, but it really did feel like there was a glimmer of hope, and instead it falls silent.
The final from Boone, North Carolina, 27-23 App State. The Beavers are now, Olivia, 0-6 on the season for the first time since 1991. Oregon State would now need to win out if they want to even reach bowl eligibility, but it feels like, honestly, with the way the season has been going, a better chance of winning the lottery than that happening.
It's also 3 games now, Brett, this season that the Beavers should have won. Fresno State, Houston, and now App State definitely doesn't help their situation.
No, and I think what's kind of been the most frustrating thing about this whole situation for Beaver fans, Olivia, is that right now for this team, there's no reason for them to be 0-6 at this point in the season, and yet this is exactly where they're at. This may go down as potentially one of the most disappointing seasons in Oregon State football history. Even if they maybe win a game or 2 down the stretch, it isn't guaranteed at this point. This is historically bad territory that the Beavers are in right now. Only 4 times prior to this season had OSU football ever started the season 0-6. This is the 5th, and history shows us the rest of the way doesn't look very pretty. 1-10, 1-10, 0-11, and 1-10. These are just some of the worst records on season for the Beavs in this group. Just a couple more losses could be away from joining them. So you hope, of course, that doesn't happen right now. Where's the kind of hope that this team can believe that they can maybe 4 or 5 wins down the stretch? I don't see it at this moment.
Yeah, up next, Oregon State takes on Wake Forest back at home this Saturday, followed by a home meeting with Lafayette. Then they get a much-needed bye week before taking the trip to Washington, or hosting Washington State at home. It definitely does not get any easier for this program.
No, it doesn't. But the thing is, at least for one team in the state, the kind of whole opposite story. That's the Ducks, of course. Oregon still rolling right now. That big win a weekend ago against Penn State. The Ducks undefeated and looking like they are every bit a national championship contending team right now.
I 100% agree. 5-0, and it's really looking like another undefeated regular season is in reach for the Ducks. They've got a bye week this week, but up next, a potential top 10 matchup against an unbeaten Indiana team. But what's really stood out to me, Brett, hasn't just been the depth or the dominance we've seen week after week. It's the growth. This group looks sharper, more connected, and honestly more locked in every single game. And even after winning out these first 5 weeks, the Ducks aren't satisfied, and that's what separates good teams from great ones. That drive to keep getting better even when everything's going right, because in this conference, the second you get comfortable, somebody's coming for you, and Dan Lanning made it clear that's not happening with this group.
The key is that this team's grown every week, and that's the key, is that we have to continue to grow, right? You can't be satisfied with the growth we had, because other teams will grow. And the teams that continue to grow and get better every single week, that's going to give you the best version of you at the end of the year. So ultimately, love the position that we're in, but only love it if we keep watering the plant and keep growing.
That mindset definitely paying off so far for the Ducks.
Yeah, it really has been, Olivia. Ducks, of course, ranked number 2 in the nation right now. But remember, coming to the season, there were some real questions for this group. The youth and experience, one of the many questions that they had to answer for.
Exactly, yeah. And even at the quarterback spot, Dante Moore didn't start at UCLA, sat behind Dylan Gabriel last year. So some people weren't sure what to expect, but he's been calm and collected, even in the most chaotic environments. His teammates saw it early. Tez Johnson said he looked like a Heisman finalist, and Josh Connerly Jr. told me that he could win the Heisman easily. So let's take a look at the current odds. Heisman odds right now, Dante Moore is leading the way at plus 750, just ahead of Carson Beck and Jeremiah Smith. His teammates said he was built for this, and now he's proving he's more than the hype. He's the real deal, Brett.
Yeah, and with another opportunity for Moore to increase his Heisman odds comes more pressure altogether as College Game Day, guess what? It's returning to Eugene, Oregon, folks, for a second straight year with Reese Davis, Kirk Herbstreit, Pat McAfee, Nick Saban, and the rest of their crew. The Ducks are 20-13 all-time when playing in a game featured by College Game Day, including a 9-3 record at home. But let's get back to this weekend, right? What else is happening in the Big Ten? How about a little Wisconsin matchup in the Big House, taking on number 20 Michigan? First quarter, Dylan Jones taking it on in from 5 yards out to put the Badgers on top early. And hey, we just may have a game here in Ann Arbor, or so we thought. Moments later, Justice Haynes out to the edge. He goes for the 1-yard take and bake in and out of the oven to put 7 points on the board. Fast forward to the second half, Bryce Underwood connects with his trusty receiver, Donovan McCauley, and look at McCauley go, breaking tackles and off to the races. 29-yard tutty. Talk about some good old-fashioned backyard football at its finest. 27 straight wins for the Wolverines at home against unranked opponents. Michigan wins 24-10.
And now we head to Purdue, where the Fighting Illini are looking to take down the Purdue Boilermakers. On the road, Ryan Brown drops the snap, picks it up and takes it to the house. Touchdown, Purdue. Purdue takes the early lead, but Illinois strikes back quick. Luke Altmaier airs it out deep. Hank Beatty hauls it in, breaks away. It's a 62-yard touchdown, and just like that, the Illini are on top. Illinois not taking its foot off the gas yet. Khalil Valentine up the middle. And look at that blocking from the O-line there. The score now 23-7. And the Fighting Illini would keep that momentum going. Illinois comes out with a 43-27 victory.
Always helps when you have a good O-line. Number 7 Penn State making the cross-country trip all the way to Southern California to take on an 0-4 UCLA team. Should be an easy win for the Nittany Lions, right? Wrong. UCLA in the red zone. Nico Ayayama drops back and finds Kawazi Glimmer in the corner. Glimmer stretches it out and knocks down the pylon, and that's a touchdown. Bruins striking first against a top 10 opponent. UCLA now up 10-7, and once again another perfect strike into the end zone, and the Bruins extend their lead 17-7. Penn State, though, not backing down. The Nittany Lions block the punt. Davian Collins scoops it up and takes it in for the score. Penn State right back in this game as they should, but second and goal, UCLA The big man himself, the QB star one, powering his way through the defense, touchdown UCLA, and the Bruins take down Penn State 42-37, a huge set for the Bruins. Oregon may have just broken the Nittany Lions, Olivia.
Exactly, and now Washington heads into the land of the Terrapins and steals a late dub over Maryland 24-20. Washington now 4-1 on the year. Well, back in the Midwest, Nebraska takes care of business against former Oregon State head coach Jonathan Smith and the Michigan State Spartans, and #1 Ohio State easily dispatches Minnesota 42-3.
That's going to be really interesting to watch because who knows, with the way the Ducks and, of course, the Buckeyes are playing right now, we could be potentially witnessing these two teams meet up in the Big Ten Championship later on this year. So a lot of game left to be played, but going to be very interesting to watch and see if these two teams can continue the early success that they've been building. But don't go anywhere, because coming up next, Southern Oregon football gets set to take on a top 10 opponent in #8 Montana Western. We're going to have all the highlights, all the big plays, the recaps, the story, and so much more when the College Game Night Show returns next after the break.